Hi guys, it's Steve again. I'm back with the next part of doing some weathering on the buildings we made in the last video. Things are a little bit calmer today. You can still hear the kids are about, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it stays a little bit calmer than the last video. As you remember, we cast these up with some plaster of Paris. I've just had a little chimney type air vent to the top of that one. This is the chocolate bar factory, as we've always called it. I've added a door to it, just a couple of bits of scraps of wood. And what we're going to do is prime these up black, and then we'll start looking at weathering them up. Right, I'll show you what we've got on the table in a sec, and we'll go from there. At the table we have some fresh water and a syringe. We have some soapy water to clean the airbrush out. Refer back to a video I did a little while back. We have some hairspray, primers, thinners, air paints, ground salt, medium, an empty bottle, some ink, sepia ink, some rust colour paint, and some burnt umber. Of course, we mustn't forget the funky tablecloth of Spider-Man. Right, I'll get the camera set up and get these primed. Right guys, this is the first attempt at actually filming airbrushing. I'll put a piece of film over to protect the camera, so we'll see how it goes. Let's get some paint. So I'll get some black primer. That needs a bit of a clean. Dear me, hey. Right. Black primer. As discussed previously, we're going to need some thinners. A couple of drips of pretty thinner. Brush. Give it a mix in the bowl. I think I'm on camera. I'm looking at a strange angle here. Right. I'll just get that rinsed off so I've got it at the back. Fingers crossed, here we go. Normally I would wear a mask, but I won't be able to talk, man. Right, we'll give that a rinse out and then let them dry and come back to the next stage. See you in a sec. Right guys, the paint's all dried, the primer's on. They look a bit different now. A couple of bits of white showing, but as we're going to end up with a white coat over the top, I'm not too worried. And we're going to build another coat up now anyway. We're going to work almost inside out. We're going to go with a dark brown colour. And you'll probably think, what's the on? But don't worry, things will come together in the end, I hope. So get some brown paint. And I don't know if this brush is going to be too hot for this. Some water. I want to thin it down a bit. That should do the job. I suppose I better put my glove on. Right, let's get hold of it. What we're going to do, just dab on some rust. Leave some of the black exposed. Where the cracks are, you really want to get into. Be a bit of rust there. And leaving some of the black. Just come down here so you see what I'm doing a bit more. Get in here. Rocky up there, so I go up there. Just a bit in there. These goes in. Crack there on the chimney pot. A strange camera angle here to do this. So do excuse me if I do go off a little bit. Like that. Right. I'll rinse this brush out now. I've just done it in clean water that I actually wanted to use for something else. Oops. Could have been worse, it could have been my cup of tea. Right. Some really bright orange. mixing because I don't really want to mix my paints up too much. Got to put that out the way over here. Right. Just going to come in of it a little bit. Stiffly. These brown paints still wet, which is what I want. Right, that's the first one done. On to the next one. Heavier at the bottom, and the holes you're going to want to get into. You can see I'm leaving quite a bit of the black exposed here. I'm not trying to think about what I'm doing too much, so it's not too... It doesn't look thought out, it doesn't look like it's a designer rust, it's rust. Stippling it so I'm not getting too many brush lines. This is all going to tone down later as we go over it. Let's get that right out and like that. There we go. Try and get maybe a bit brighter rust on the bottom of the door, just there. Right. Right guys, these are pretty well dry. It's actually quite surprising how quickly they dry on this material. So we have a base rust colour around the buildings. A little bit wet in places, but it's not too bad. Next stage is we're going to add some salt to it. So what we do, let's try and get this into the middle a bit so you can see what's going on. I've got some ground up sea salt, or rock salt, can of hairspray, and off we go. So remove the salt out of the way so I don't blow the salt off the table. You give it a coat of hairspray first, and then you just sprinkle some salt on it, mainly near the bottom. There we go. I need more salt in this to do these. I'll do that. It's all a learning curve. Let that dry. The end. Some salt in that. Turn. Salt here. I'll go and make up some more. I'll go and get the salt grinder. Let's do it the easy way. Let's try it this way. I'm just going to get the salt grinder. Oh yeah, that's the way to do it. Here. There you go. chuck that one out the way. Next one. Just going to spray the whole thing, I think. I haven't got enough set time on the hairspray, to be honest. And it doesn't go so well on the sides. So I'll do it this way over the sides. Pick it up off the table with a hairspray, to be honest. It's very awkward to keep on camera, I'm sorry about that, guys. Right, there's some salted Oxarane. We'll let that dry off. Let's give it another little blast. It's a bit loose in a few places just to fix it down. Find bits it looks like there isn't much on it. Chuck a bit more on. Just a bit of trial and error. There you go. Right, we'll let them dry up and we'll go from there. Let's see if I can zoom in a minute, have a quick look before I go for a cuppa. Right. So at the moment they look a bit of a mess. They're still going to be covered up in white in a minute. Doesn't quite look like a chocolate bar anymore. There we go. Right, see you in a few minutes. Alright, back again. The hairspray is fairly well dry, it only takes a few minutes. So what we're going to do now is work on with the coat of white over the top. Get a white paint and get some thinners in it. Probably should give that a shake because it's a new bottle. Might even have to adjust the pressure, and that might be a thin, fairly thin coat, build it up. Just check that's clean. I'm using black. If you're going to put white on, the worst thing you do is shove black in it. Right. Let's give this a go. What we want to do is heavier. Let's see what the paint's like first. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. It's a bit powdery, but thin it down. Heavier at the top. Bit of an over. Come on. Ease that, that's better. I'll sort that powdering out a little bit in another second. Bottom right. Sorry guys, I'm not talking, I'm actually concentrating. Being a typical man, I can't, not very good at multitasking, so the wife tells me. Right, we're just finishing these off. Oops. Tried to sort the camera, I'm afraid the nozzle dried a little bit. That's not good. Right, next stage we're going to take some of this loose salt off underneath. So we get a toothbrush and some water, just set it slightly down. Take the glove off actually. We'll just get a brush. Too much water on it, it's taking the paint with it. Crack. Chipping along the door. I think I'll probably do it a little bit longer. Yeah, could do it a little bit longer to dry, I think. I think the rule there is don't be impatient. I'll just touch that little bit up and we'll let it dry for a few more minutes. Okay, while that's drying, what we'll do, we get some ink mixed up ready for the next stage. So just a couple of bottles and a few things here. Bottle. This is FW Daily Rowney sepia ink. It must be very dark at this stage. Drop ink in there. Yeah, it's very thick at the moment. Just some brush thinners, and we need some medium. Somewhere I got a little dropper. Where did I put that little drop? Right, let's put that in there. Give this a mix. It's way too dark still. As much as I don't need a drop of water to thin it. It's not too far off actually. Much of it though. So. No, we're not going to need very much because obviously being thin it's going to spread very long way. Don't know if that's going to be enough. Just add a little bit more. I think I'll have enough medium in there to hold it together. Run it down the side, have a look at the draft, have a look at the colour. That's pretty good to me. I think we'll go with that. So I'll pop the lid back on here and put that to one side. Right, we'll have a look at this is dry. A minute. How's this feeling now? Yeah, not too bad. Just give it a light brush and get some of these chips off. So what you're doing is taking off not all of them, but some of the stone chips. There we go, it's working a bit better now. The biggest tip there then is make sure your paint's dry. That's what doing these videos is all about, learning what works and what doesn't. Not copying each other's mistakes and actually learn from them. That's more me just impatient. Each video concentrate a little bit more on getting salt into some of these grooves. This is something I'll definitely have to revisit as I learn a little bit more about doing that. Right, get the airbrush ready and we're going to give it a spray over. The only thing we're using ink this time, so we need to drop the airbrush pressure right down. I'll probably run about 12, 9, 12. Right, we're back to add our ink which we made up a little bit earlier. Turn the pressure right down, so what we're going to do is concentrate on the lower areas. Cracks. A little bit there. Door there maybe. What I'm doing is looking at what I've actually got that's checked and working with it. This piece is going to be far from perfect, but actually gives a good enough idea of that. Oops, bit of noise from there. Just in the same part, you see the air to manipulate it. Just blends it in, doesn't it? Should probably be wearing gloves more for doing this than I was when I did the paint. Hopefully you can see everything I'm doing. It's a tricky one. I think I'm going to leave it there. Right guys, that pretty well ties that up. I'll post some pics up properly in a minute. They've come up pretty good if you ask me. I'm quite happy with those. It's the first time trying this technique. I thought I'd just share it with you. I'll do some more in the future with it, I suspect. I think I'm going to play with that because it seems like it's got a lot of promise. Right, it's been a bit quieter, so that helped today. I'm going to have to work on some new filming tricks, things. Comments and suggestions would be greatly appreciated. I just put a piece of plastic over the front of the camera, which sometimes you might find the image was a bit glarier or something, but that's just to stop any paint going back on the camera. I think in future we might have to look at two, so we'll go from there, and I'll talk to you soon. Right, see you in the next video. Hit like if you hit like, subscribe if you're interested in more videos, and we'll go from there. Cheers!